Now to take on Dennis Jacques. Well, he left one of those in the opening match, but that was about all he left.
Well, that left lane has been the only lane that's really caused him any problems at all. He's the right-hand lane, which he's going to finish on, which kind of surprises me because Dennis Jacques has the option of picking the lane that he wants to start on, and he's giving Bryan Goebel the opportunity to finish on his strong lane.
Yeah, but Dennis kind of hooks the ball a little bit more. He may want to finish on the lane that hooks more.
That's a very good possibility, but I watched him in practice, and he never hit that left lane very well.
Oh, really? Wow. Go.
I think it's more of a comfort zone for him to be able to finish the match first, and that's what you do if you start in the right-hand lane. You'll finish the match first. I tell you, Jason Couch, and of course Parker Bone, the tournament leader, are all pretty happy that Mike Alby's not out there anymore. I'll bet you.
Well, it's no bargain taking on Bryan Goebel, but Dennis Jacques, who hasn't won a game on television since 1985, he's 0-8. And anxious to end that string right now. 10 years without a victory.
Well, he's been recently married, so maybe that'll change his luck.
Well, his wife is right here, Rosemary, I think is her name. They met earlier this year. Well, you can't throw two shots much better than that.
That's right. He's one of the biggest, strongest guys out here. He looks like he should be playing linebacker for some pro football team, but Dennis Jacques, always one of those smooth guys, like a lot of big guys. He has that very smooth footwork, you know, like a ballerina going to the foul line.
Yeah, he's 6'3", 230. But they're not arm wrestling out there.
No, they're not. But strength is a factor nowadays, I believe, in the game of bowling. Much more so than it was. Look at this, solid 8.
Well, he starts off 10 and an 8, and they
at least they weren't together.
Yeah, right. Or in between strikes. Yeah. So Bryan, who has to regroup now.
Goebel won just a couple weeks ago, last week, excuse me, and he won from second spot then. And now he's got a little more work to do to come all the way from fifth.
Tell me, do you think that mentally he would be relaxing a little bit because he got maybe the PBA Player of the Year or out of the way, and now Dennis Jacques, who hasn't won a game on TV in 10 years?
I think so. There's no doubt in my mind that Bryan Goebel felt that he just accomplished a major step forward in this tournament by eliminating Mike Alby, and I'm sure the rest of the players feel the same way. Alby's gone. We're glad he's gone, even though Bryan Goebel's the hottest player on the tour right now. I'd rather bowl Bryan Goebel than Mike Alby.
And a little tickle of the 7. It falls over late, but it gets him on the strike pattern.
We're going to take another look at that shot. And Bryan Goebel, you see the look on his face. He's a pretty happy young man. You see the ball going into that heavy roll right there. Watch the head pin go to the wall, comes back, kicks out the 4 and the 7.
Well, that head pin did a yeoman's job there.
Yeah. Kind of looked familiar. I remember you doing that all the time.
I had to average 180.
Here's that big, strong release again.
Wow, did he knock that 10 pin out of there?
Shows you how big he is. He blocks out the whole camera. He can't see the pins when Dennis is running them out there.
Oh, he has an intense look on his face right now. I'd like to see what his heart rate is right now. I'll tell you what, he is into it.
He's into it, and he's always been one of those kind of guys that could watch his wrist. See how the cup position of that wrist, that stays that way all the way through the swing. That takes a lot of strength.
Well, he snapped on it at the end. Oh, what a result. He says, man, I couldn't have asked him for a better start than this.
Well, 8 strikes away from $50,000.
Don't even talk yet.
Well, he's still got his hands full of this match. This Bryan Goebel is not going to back off from anybody, and he's still got a possibility of 279 himself. So,
and Bryan, the only time he has missed this lane was the last time he left a solid 8. Needs to double up here.
Good release there.
He looked at it, though. Is it going to be another solid 8? No.
Well, in a one-game match, when it doesn't matter what your score is, as long as it's better than the other players, a solid 8 and something like that can really demoralize you.
And there's Jerry Ray, who has been battling some health problems and told me he's just grateful to be here. And he's the guy that's putting up that $50,000, proprietor here in Highland Lanes.
Well, the players love this guy, I'll guarantee you. That's a lot of money for a pro bowler to take a shot at.
Goebel, though, is so relaxed, so confident, he just puts it right back on Jacques. kind of a psychological warfare here. Who's going to wilt first here with the strikes?
That's right. The guy keeping score for you and I up here, Philip Rigener, doing the stats for us again this week.
He's on a few strikes of his own.
That's right. He must be getting paid awful good to be doing the stat work because he's not bowling that good anymore, see? 5-7 to go.
Jake's kind of throttling it down emotionally a little bit.
We're going to take a look at Dennis Jake's shot here. Pick it up right from the back here. Watch this arm swing. See the cupped wrist, the strength that he uses? Really, as you said, snaps that hand through the ball, Mike. Tremendous rotation on the ball. I would say 19, 20 revolutions on that ball.
I can't count that high. I mean, it's just...
You used to get that many, but that was going down and coming back, Mike.
It was on the ball return. Yes.
Right.
Trying for one more.
Gave it a lot of room this time. Got it back for the solid 8. Something bothered him, evidently. He's got that look on his face. Somebody must have moved or talked or something while he lost his concentration there.
He couldn't have put it in there any better, but, you know, the important thing is it's solid 8 for Bryan Goebel. Now a solid 8 for Dennis Jacques.
Well, the important thing is he's got to make this fair. Don't get careless or angry and miss an easy spare.
Well, he kind of shakes his head right now. Here's what happened in his approach right here. As he's about ready to let it go, he hears something, stands straight up, and looks over with a look of disgust. But don't you get disgusted. You stay with us. We'll be back right after this.
Just when you thought you knew your way around the game, Columbia 300 introduces a finer point.
Caddyshack. Most dramatic lighting in a movie about caddies.
Caddyshack.
Best performance by a gopher.
Caddyshack.
Best editing. Caddyshack. What's the worst movie about caddies?
Oh, Caddyshack, too.
Shake that!
Yeah.
That lovely young lady is Rosemary Jacques. And earlier I had a chance to talk to Dennis about his new bride, and this is what he had to say.
I met Rosemary in Hartford, Connecticut this year on the winter tour, and everything has worked out. I couldn't ask for a better person. She's supportive in my career, I'm supportive in hers, and it just happened that yesterday was her birthday, and I guess this was her birthday present of making the telecast.
Well, she's got a lovely smile right now. We'll see if it continues if Bryan Goebel keeps striking.
Bryan Goebel were to strike twice more, we'd have a tie match right now. It just seems whether it's a matter of carry. He's hitting the pocket extremely well.
Just a little early move on the lane and left that 4-pin.
I see the extreme difference in how they're playing the lanes. It's something for the people at the home to pay attention to, because this guy right here, we've mentioned several times, he's the hottest player on the tour. He's been the most successful recently, and the reason is because of his entry angle. We've talked about that, the heavy end-over-end roll. And then you have a Dennis Jacques who has struggled to be successful out here for quite a while. As you mentioned, 0-8 in his last 8 TV appearances. The big hook. The new bowling balls, the resin reactive bowling balls, you don't have to hook them a lot. They'll hit for you. So a lot of the players backing off. I was talking to Wayne Webb. Wayne Webb told me that he has to learn to back off on the rotation in order to keep the ball in the pocket area and to strike more. And he's learning to do that. And you see he finished a little higher in the standings this week. Hall of Famer, learning to retool his game, you might say.
Well, you know, we saw that as Goebel gets another strike on lane 19. We saw that with Norm Duke a couple of weeks ago, where he changed releases in the middle of the game and went for the big hook to the straighter shot and wound up pulling out a victory. So, well, no, I guess he lost that game. That was against John Handigard, but nevertheless, it was a bold move that he did that particular time.
You got to have a little bit of that riverboat gambler in you to be successful out here, because, like I mentioned earlier, it's a one-game match and there's no second chances. You either do it now or you don't do it at all.
Boy, he almost left another solid 8. He's pointing a finger at it as Rosemary says, good. Dennis, who is perspiring a bit out there. And here we see the difference, 21 pins. He's looking at it. The 8-pin almost stood, and he says, not again, not you.
He might go down there and just bite that thing in half.
Break it, man. I'll tell you.
Tremendous rotation here. Look at that ball come back.
Look at that 10-pin. That ball almost rolled out. It looked like it still knocked that 10-pin right out. Well, Bryan Goebel definitely got his hands full. Dennis Jacques, without the solid 8, would have the first 8, and we'd be really getting excited about now.
Goebel can't afford any more 4 pins or 10 pins or 8 pins. He needs strikes.
Well, he got one. Be sure and join us from Indianapolis Motor Speedway in Indianapolis, Indiana for the NASCAR Brickyard 400 pole qualifying. That's Thursday, 3 o'clock Eastern Time. That's high noon on the coast. Big shot here. 9th frame's got to have it.
A little more ball speed there. Looks like he moved out a little bit, Mike, and went a little more directly to the pocket with more ball speed, and it worked for him. That's the last shot he has to throw on this lane, on that lane in this match. So
now, Earl, does he change his hand release some too when he does that, or does he?
Here's another look at it. We'll take a look at it here, Mike, and here's that last shot we just saw. He's a little more direct here. You can see he's a little bit more to the right. Look at the ball speed now. He's not arcing the ball. He's going down and in. So I don't think he changed his hand position so much as the ball speed.
Jake's trying for one more. Through the nose, leaves just the 610.
Anybody's match now, Mike. Anybody's match. Not an easy spare in this situation here.
Can Jake shut him out or not? No, he cannot shut him out. Ooh.
Important to make the spare. He's switching bowling balls cross lane. Wants to get both pins with the ball, which he did. Good coverage.
Well, for a guy that hasn't won a game on television in the last 10 years, 0-8, pressure-packed situation hit here in the 10th frame. Talking to himself, he's wearing a microphone.
It's interesting to hear what the players have to say in this situation. He's kind of disappointed in himself for making that shot. He knows he has to strike out to put pressure on Goebel.
First one is a big one right here. Pretty shot. He can take this out the sheet.
One more.
To 257, as he says, all right, one more, make him double.
God, your highest game ever on TV, and you're going to lose.
Real positive, isn't he?
One time.
One time.
One time only. Come on, come on.
Oh, yes, he says.
All right.
Well, the pin count is very important. 257 possibility. Bryan Goebel can strike out for 258, so he must fill. Here's another look at that. This one does roll out, Mike. Watch the ball. The big arc. He's almost out near the channel. Watch the ball straighten out. Right there. That kept it from going through the middle of the head pin.
Boy, another half a revolution. It was 6.
And there's his reaction.
Yeah, he didn't think that was going to strike.
No, he didn't. But this is a big strike here. He's worked this hard.
Oh, come on, come on, come on. All right.
Well, 256.
Well, that's the best I can do.
And he said it all right there. 9 strikes.
Says that's the best I can do, and Rosemary got a big kiss.
Oh, really? Well, Bryan Goebel, the picture of confidence, needs 2 strikes and 9. Has to have this one.
He's been here many times before, and he's been successful most of the time.
You can't throw it any better, Earl. Did you see that follow through again?
Well, that's the thing about his game, that he has improved so much over the last couple of years. He's become so much more consistent in his point of release. The ball comes off his hand almost the same every time with the same consistent ball speed. And if you have the same release, same ball speed, it's going to end up in the same place.
Theoretically, that's true. Flush 10, it looked like it just set a little early. And there's Dennis Jakes giving thanks to the heavens above. Jakes is going to win this match. He's going to go on to face Jason Couch. And I think he got a couple of guys over here to the side. I'm mighty glad that Bryan Goebel
And the guys that left after he did.
Wow, Bryan Goebel takes home $5,000. He's finishing 4th. Rosemary